number sense. And what's hard is that when you look at that and say, all right, this is the whole composite of everything, but when you dig deeper, a kid's grade for their unit on geometry could be an A, but then when it's more algebra, it could be a B or C. And that's the part that's, when we talked about standards-based grading, we're gonna need to get to that point of what's the purpose of our grade and what is it telling us? You know, and aligning it to those standards. So you could really see it from that perspective of how is this kid doing in these areas that, you know, it's not just one, you know, big composite score, it's actually this kid really struggles in geometry, which is a part of NCAs that we need to help support them more when we are teaching that piece.
So standards-based grading is coming.
Basically worthless if it can't tell you that, hey, this kid is good in geometry, but he's suffering in algebra because it doesn't break the data out that way.
The intent of this is NCAs are based on the results of how kids are doing in the standards. So what you're supposed to be able to correlate is to say, so if a student is not meeting expectations on the NCAs, a parent report will say they didn't score as high on this area of math with regards to their NCA test. Yet, as a teacher, the reports that we're getting aren't always the same types of information. You know what I'm saying is that like a teacher could look at it and say, well, I know when I'm teaching, this kid struggles in geometry, and that might be reflective in a parent report. But what's hard is this is a one-day, one-time snapshot. Is that a consistent reflection of that student? A teacher might agree or might disagree. A parent might agree or disagree. You know, I have a child of my own who struggles taking tests. And so when he gets this back, he's defeated because it may not always reflect of what he's capable of showing on this one-time snapshot. So to Matt's point, it's one snapshot, yet it's given a lot of weight and merit in the public realm, and we're held accountable to it.
Yeah. So I think when the MCA results are unembargoed, I don't even know if that's a word.
I'm gonna ask you to tell me what it means.
So for your information, Ryan, the data came from MDE on the test scores, but it's embargoed, meaning that it's not for the general public. The staff and the board is privy to it, but not the general public.
So what you'll see once that is released, it's mid-August, I believe is the date, to the media and to the public, is we have some that are performing way above state average, and we have some that are performing at or maybe even slightly below, with a majority performing way above state average. I mean, we happen to be at one grade level here that didn't perform, you know, at we don't even know whether it performed at state average because they haven't released that data yet.
Okay.
And I can tell you, and teachers could tell you, when we get that data, you know, because we know the kids beyond just this one assessment, if it's a true indicator of where they're at. And there could be a ton of reasons why the results are the way they are. Yet, what we also have to acknowledge is that there are places within our K-12 system where some of those same kids are succeeding. Why is that? Is it because developmentally, they're finally now ready for it to all click? And it's now all come together? Because that's the one thing Erin did a nice job of talking about is third grade is your first year of testing, but yet it's a culmination of K2 as well. And that's the hard part is that, you know, fifth grade is a culmination of K4. So a kid might finally have that moment of, oh my gosh, now I get it in fifth grade. And that NCA score will reflect that then. Yet it's been the work of everybody else below that to get them to where they are.
And I think that's a really good point. This is the first significant test that kids are taking. And, you know, what we're seeing is, the last couple of years at least, is, you know, third grade's been a little lower, but by the time we get to fifth, sixth grade, those kids are scoring at upper 70s, lower 80% proficiency range. I mean, that's way above the state average. And it's in comparison to all of the high-flying districts that we like to compare ourselves to. So
Yet it's still data that we have to look at
Exactly.
and analyze and ask questions.
So Lauren, just to address, you asked about the data piece, and you can see there that it's part of the plan. What we're gonna take a look at that. We have a new data warehouse. It's called EduClimber. We bought it last year. It's been a process getting it populated, but that contains NWEA and MCA data and all those different pinpoints over the years that you can drill down into a particular student. So if I have a classroom of 23 kids, I can look at each student and see those data points and develop a plan of attack to help personalize that child's learning in the classroom, if that makes sense. And that's the point of the data retreat, and really will be a main emphasis as part of our workshop week.
Okay.
It also bringing in the other experts, which are our teachers. Our teachers, right now, I think sometimes struggle and sell themselves short and don't always see what they bring to the table as data and it being of value. And I think that we're missing that piece. When you talk about looking at all of the data and saying, so what is it that we need to understand about this kid? It's definitely MCAs, it's definitely NWA, DIBELS, whatever tool you use. But there's a piece that our teachers aren't necessarily at the elementary level feeling confident in what they are gathering for data as true, really reliable data. So we have to help support them with that too, and using it to guide their teaching.
Any other questions?
Questions?
Just to kind of, Lauren, I've got our historical data in front of me here, so
Come on up.
in 2016, which is when this group was in third grade, they were at about 70.2%. Fourth grade, they were at 72.2%. Fifth grade, they jumped to 80%. So, and I don't have a preliminary for this year. So you can see the trend is moving upward with that cohort group. So it's broken down in this graph, reading and math by cohort group, going back to 2013. So, you see a trend up through fifth grade, and then it kind of levels off, and we're between 70 and 80%. And if you think back to the conversations we've had about tier 1 instruction, you want to be around 80% proficient for tier 1. So from a reading standpoint, and some of our areas in math, we're there. Some we're not, and we're looking at different tweaks that we've talked a lot about here. But that's your target, because you can't intervene for 50% of your population. 20% that's doable, but you can't intervene for 50% of your population. So, and that's just a resource management, it's a public health model is where it comes from. So that's where we're looking at, we're building these intervention programs, but at the same time, we need to continue to strengthen tier 1 instruction. And as we tweak things, there's going to be some ebb and flow in scores. And the thing I think that's important to keep in mind, these scores, they don't take into account the morning that kid had on that given day. They don't take into account breakfast. They don't take into account all of those just life factors that really have more of a play in that number than anything else. The other thing is that whole opt-out. We all of us talked about, and it's publicized in our handbook because we have to. But I can tell you the kids that opted out from a middle school standpoint, every one of them would have probably been proficient on the MCAs. Instead of being proficient, they count against us now. So they count as not being proficient. So there's those factors.
It's a flawed system, and
It
as you
is.
can see.
It is.
There's a lot of emotion because of how schools, this isn't just a Jordan thing. We are graded on something that's really quite unfair. But even so, I think, again, when the MCA results come out, you'll see that we still are a very high-performing school district, and we have one grade level that we're going to look to address. Not just one, we have several grade levels that we're gonna look to address, but more importantly, it's that literacy and math, mathematics piece that we're constantly, last year we were sitting at the table when the scores came out in our 11th grade math, was it 10th grade math? 11th grade math, scores were at like 41% proficient. Well, this year, they are much higher. You know, I'm not gonna say it out loud, but they're much higher. And that was one of the things, I know Aaron worked directly with the math department at the high school, and Jeff. And that was a major point of emphasis, is looking at standards work, getting our staff to understand those different pieces, and changing some of their instructional practices to address those needs.
Well, and one of the things in there is the role of the instructional coaches will play this year. This is why we are really needing them in those classrooms to help, help teachers to have somebody else help them reflect. And why is this, why am I getting the results I'm getting? Or what do I need to do differently? And by having that instructional coach, that peer versus just that evaluative lens, that an administrator, as much as we want to be able to come in as educators and help support teachers, it's different hearing it from a peer who's been in the classroom recently. So the intent of those instructional coaches is to look at this and talk to individual teachers and work with them and work with Aaron and say, so what does instruction at tier 1 need to look like for our kids, knowing that we have areas that we need to grow in. So that's the other hope, is that those instructional coaches will have that direct time and ability to work with Aaron and with our teaching staff and with administrators.
And I'll close with this. You know, obviously Aaron's been part of this team for 2 weeks now, not even 2 weeks, a week and a day. And, you know, I like the plans that are being put in place. They're very solid, very driven, very focused on what the work that we need to do. So I'm excited for our future.
And we just happen to have the curriculum director that's coming through a literacy lens as far as your background. So I'm excited about that, because in the end, Erin knows from her teaching side of things where kids need to be at the end, and how do we back that up and support our teachers and supporting our kids. So that'll be really exciting.
So this is an
Thank
action
you.
item to send this plan to the state of Minnesota.
Any further discussion? Or comments?
Do we have a motion yet?
No, we don't.
Oh, I'll make
We
a
don't, we
motion to
don't.
approve.
Okay, we have a motion from Lauren to approve the literacy plan. Is there a second? Second, Sandy. I just have a comment. Ben stating that tracking that same class of third graders that improved so much over the next couple of years tells me, why aren't we doing the MCAs in first grade and then doing interventions? I mean, if our goal is being able to read by third grade.
See, that's the
But-
challenge, is
Yeah.
finding a local assessment
Right.
that will help us measure that progress,
Yep.
progress monitoring tool. And districts are experimenting with a lot of different tools. It's just trying to figure out what's the right one, and then determining whether or not really that's the course of, is that the most
Right.
important thing that we
Like-
wanna do on a day-to-day basis, or is it, you know, more inquiry-based STEAM work?
Right,
It's a philosophical discussion that will probably go on for a long time.
Yeah, the whole teaching to the test thing is
Mhm.
forever.
Connie has a comment.
But I think we are investing, because we're investing in our early childhood programs, we're investing in our ECFE programs, our preschool programs, kindergarten readiness. Those investments are gonna pay off for us. And I think test scores, if we can get more of our kids involved in the preschool programs and the early childhood
Mhm.
programs, that'll pay off, and then that'll reflect in our test scores.
And I think our instructional coaches will be a
That
real
will
key
be,
piece in this
right.
too, so.
I think it was very, I'm sorry,
sorry.
Ryan. I think it was very helpful when Ben pointed out that third grade class is
Trended up.
continuing to trend up.
Yep.
So
Yep.
it would be interesting or helpful to have the data presented that way, that this group in third grade was here. The next time they were tested, they were here. The next time they were tested, they were here. Because when we're looking at the scores, we're looking at that point in time grade,
Mhm.
but we really aren't seeing how they're moving through the district and how they're moving through how they're continuing to move
Right.
through.
So when we do this fall's MCA
have
release,
that.
we can do that tracking, we can show that movement.
We
Brian?
typically do.
Yeah, I mean, I think I kind of had, a light bulb went off with the, taking the test for the first time, right? I mean, it's definitely a skill to take a test. It's, I think, a class at some colleges. And I guess I can see that at home with my fifth grader. There was a lot of that discussion in middle school of like how you take a test and how, just the strategy behind it. But at the same time, I kind of cringe at how much time you spend with first and second graders on test taking strategies. So
Exactly.
it seems like a kind of a tough year.
Right.
The other thing I was trying to wrap my head around was these state averages and whether there's data on, like, it would seem to me that the variation at a larger school would be less than at a smaller school, right? I
Yeah.
mean, our enrollment
Absolutely.
varies between what, 125 kids on average, something like that?
Yeah.
Mhm.
I mean, you're gonna get more variation from year to year, I would think, than if you had 500 kids in a class.
Yep, you get a couple kids, it makes it, they go from
Excuse it.
proficient or exceeds to, it's exceeds, meets, did not meet. You get a couple, this swing one way or the other, and it's a significant impact when you have lower numbers, without a
And
doubt.
particularly with specific populations where you have an achievement gap.
Yes.
Right.
1 or 2 kids makes a huge swing.
Yep, when you have, so eventually they'll come out and they'll do it by cells, so they'll have, like limited English proficiency, I think, is one of the cells. Well, we might have like 4 kids in that grade level, so you get if one child moves that's 25%, significant difference. And that's really, when they look at your, I don't even know what it's called, like your school's rating, well, they take all those factors into account. It's like throwing darts at a dartboard, I think.
And kids are much more than just this one test result.
Absolutely. And like they pointed out, if you have people opting out, that counts as a 0 in your
Sure.
formula.
Yeah.
So, which,
Do they track how many people end up opting out by chance, or no?
oh, I'm sure they do.
We know.
Yeah.
We know how many it is.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Any more discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor of approving the literacy plan, say aye.
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 Opposed? Motion carries. Review and act on the school board communication plan, and I will invite the communication committee and Mr. Helgerson to speak to this.
Community members, you wanna speak to this?
That was a long time ago that meeting was, wasn't it? 3-4 weeks ago, was it?
Something like that?
Anyways, there weren't a lot of changes.
Updated the years and the dates.
Yep.
The
Did
meet,
we take something?
the meet and greets are tweaked a little bit,
Yep.
and it's good that our principals are here to hear that. Going back to having 3, 1 for each building, but instead of doing more of a donuts and coffee, moving to more of a breakfast. These are days where we don't have students, so it's a workshop day. So having more of a breakfast that will contract with our food service department, which they're getting into catering, to do that. And then that'll be a good way for those staff members to start a day of professional learning. So we made that change. That was the most significant change in the
Yeah.
plan.
Okay, so everybody will want to get all of these dates on their calendars. Anything else? Sandy, I think you were at that meeting,
I
weren't you?
was, there really wasn't, I compared them and there really wasn't a huge amount of changes. The main thing that we talked about a lot was the meet and greet. So,
Yeah, I would agree. That was the biggest thing we had most of our conversation around.
Okay.
And then this one also, I want to highlight that, number 14. It was something that we talked about last year as well. But trying to find some common ground on communication from our coaches and advisors out to our families. Because some are using Remind, and some are using Schoology, and some are using our Infinite Campus communication system. So Joe is going to work with the coaches in the back-to-school meetings and things like that to, I think we landed on Remind as the one that.
I think so,
That was the
because
most
Schoology
preferred.
is something a lot of the kids access frequently, but a lot of parents either don't know how to do it, don't think to do it, or just don't use it at all. And so, and then a lot of the coaches use Schoology a tremendous amount, and
Yeah.
so, you know, that doesn't help, you know, if the kids aren't good about communicating. I don't know any kids who might not do that, with their parents. And they might forget to do that, so it's good to have the Remind app
I think in
instead.
this fast-paced society, something real quick and simple like that is,
Mhm.
rather
Yep.
than to have to search for something, is probably preferred.
Well, I know cross country and track has been using it for at least a few years, and at the coaches meet, at the PAC meeting, what they do is they just have it right up there, and everybody takes out their phone and signs up right then, so it makes it a lot easier, so.
Okay, good. Okay. If I'm ready for a motion to accept the communication plan for 1920.
Motion to approve the communication plan for 1920 school year.
Lauren, is there a second?
I'll second.
Tom, further discussion? Thank you for working on that, you guys. Okay, hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Review and act on the 1920 MSBA membership dues. And I believe it was a 2% increase over the previous year. So this is our annual membership dues to MSBA.
Motion to approve.
We have a motion by Tom. Is there a second? Second. Second, Sandy. Discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. 7.11, review and act on the 1920 Minnesota River Conference dues. This will be a blast.
I know.
In the amount of $2,200.
Motion to approve.
Motion by Tom. Is there a second?
Second.
Second. Was that Lauren or Connie?
It was Lauren.
Lauren, okay. Discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Review and act of the 1920 milk and bread bids, and I believe the recommendations from our food services director was to go with Plainview Cooperative, the Hastings Creamery for our milk bid, and Panagold for the bread bids. Is that right?
I believe so.
Yep.
Okay, I'll entertain a motion.
So moved.
Connie, is there a second?
Second.
Second, Lauren, discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye, opposed, motion carries. 7.13, we have a leave request. Mr. Helgerson.
So we received this request this afternoon today, so it was one of the late ads. It was the late ad to our agenda. It is from one of our middle school teachers, Ms. Mullenbach, and she has requested a 1-year leave of absence without pay from our district. And I'm going to go ahead and make a recommendation to you as a board. I'm recommending that you not approve the leave, consistent with some of the other work that we've done in these requests in past years. I think this is the third such request since my tenure in the district. And we did not approve one, we approved another. I think there's a significant difference between the two. This one is similar to the first one that I recommended you not approve and you didn't approve because it was a person looking to go teach in another district.
Yeah.
And I just don't think that is in our best interest as a school district. And it is my understanding, based off of the input from Mr. Bakeberg, that this is a similar request. There's a medical leave associated with this too, but it's also, this request is not being made in association with that medical leave. It's being made to look at a different teaching position, one that may be more conducive to her family. But what that does to our district, looking at it from a big picture district standpoint, it may reduce our ability to hire a quality candidate, because you might look at somebody who's really solid, and they might say, well, we're not interested in the position because it's a 1-year position.
Right.
And in this stage in the game, we might only receive applicants that reflect a 1-year position, but nonetheless, I just don't feel it's in our best interest as a school district to approve leaves of absence for somebody to go explore another teaching position. It's my personal feeling. You certainly are a collective board, and you can have a discussion and decide differently.
Okay, so I'll open it up for discussion.
What does she teach?
Oh, go ahead.
Sorry.
No, go ahead.
RTI,
Okay.
RTI math,
Okay. Okay.
Is she tenure teacher?
yes.
Yes.
I mean, it's pretty, you know, it's late in the game here. We're a month and a half out from school, so to get quality replacement is difficult, so. I agree with Matt that it's not in the best interest of the district to grant this.
So what are you looking?
Looking for.
I'm looking for
Motion.
a motion to deny.
Oh,
I move to,
If we just don't make a motion to approve, why do we have to make a motion to deny?
I think we need to.
Do we have to make a motion if we don't?
I think we have to do
I
something.
think we
Yeah,
have
we're
to
gonna do
address it.
something.
Mhm.
You can either make a motion to approve or make a motion to deny. I think those are your options.
Yep.
Okay.
I move that we deny the 1-year leave of absence for Tracy Mullenbach.
Okay, I have a motion. Is there a second?
Second.
Second, Lauren. Okay, further discussion? Okay, hearing none. All those in favor of denying the request signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Okay, board and administrative reports. Superintendent's report.
Okay. Happy to report that the Ties building is now done. We're done with Ties officially, 100%. And the refund, you can see right there. It was originally estimated at $6 per pupil unit. And we actually will receive $6. We already have received $6.87. Sure. So, Ryan, Ties was a cooperative, it was more of a technology-based cooperative that the Jordan School District once belonged to. We bought some other services like the student information system, which we now have Infinite Campus. We once had a system called Ties. And Ties went through some hard times, partly because it became cheaper for districts to go out on their, this is basically collective information. Became cheaper for districts to go out on their own and purchase technology-based services as the world modernized. So it no longer became necessity for districts to have a cooperative to do some of those services. It just cost more money to go through a cooperative than it were for us to go out on our own. They had a very expensive building. I mean, it was a multi-million-dollar building that they were occupying, and it was in a deep, deep hole, very much in the red. And I will commend the administrative staff of Ties that came on board really to kind of bail them out and really kind of, they made one more last-ditch attempt to make them viable. It didn't work. It became clear that they needed to shut the doors. And actually, what they did is they ended up merging with the National Joint Powers Alliance, but then sold the building. So at that point, when that occurred, we were no longer buying any services at all. It made no sense, but we were paying thousands. I mean, $25,000, $30,000, $40,000 a year to belong to Ties. So districts like ours, we weren't the only ones said, we're out. We don't want any part of it. So rather than cut ties, no pun intended, we just kind of scaled it back over the years. And now we're getting the rebates or the money back for the dissolution of the Ties Cooperative, I guess is the best way to put it. So we received our check for $16,595.68. So that's to the good. Board member compensation. So that was one discussion point that we had, I believe, way back in the organizational meeting. What I would recommend there is form a small group of the board to take a look at that compensation structure from other schools, so that when the organizational meeting occurs this year in January, you know, there might be something in place that could or may not replace the old structure. So those who are interested, I'd be happy to work with them to schedule meetings and things like that. Our retreat, I just wanted to highlight that. We have an annual retreat for Ryan and those who may not recall, with our administrative team. I take the entire team, both the academic side, but also the operations side, finance side, and this year we're going to the Minnesota Landscape Arboretum for a little inspiration, and I've attached the agenda, and we're doing that this Wednesday, the 10th. A big part of that is visioning work, but we're also going to be doing our workshop and professional development planning for the year. And then also a piece of that is our annual strategic plan review, which I'll talk about here in a second. Yes, I did. Referendum update. I've set, and you should have received invites for these dates. I've set the following dates and times and locations. And it's going to be Tuesday, August 20th at the elementary school at 6:30. Monday, September 16th at 6:30 at the new property. I picked that time because we might have frozen mosquitoes by then. And I thought it would be we'll have to get creative in how we do the meeting, but I thought it'd be nice for those who are interested to come out to see the new property. And obviously there won't be an electronic PowerPoint presentation or anything like that, but handouts, maybe mapping the property with locations of buildings and parking lots and
What's
things like that.
planted there, will it be picked by then?
Yeah, maybe, probably not. October 1st, which is a Tuesday, at 6:30 at the high school. Again, wanted to toggle back and forth between the elementary and the high school, and then also one meeting at the new site. So people got a chance to see that. We'll do tours of the buildings and things like that, sort of like what we did with the middle school and Cirque. And then the final one would be Monday, October 21st at 6:30 back at the elementary. So do 4 more in addition to the one we've already done, so a total of 5. And then Hope and I are scheduling small group meetings. I've got a couple scheduled already, and that will be with townships and service organizations and community neighborhoods and things like that. And those will take place in August through early November, obviously. Tomorrow, we are working with DLR Group for a half a day on some of that image rendering work, and we're also going to finalize that review and comment document. I've developed some thematic, one-sided possible themes that I want to run by the DLR Group professionals. I came up with 5 themes, and I'll share those at a future meeting, but those will be shared out with our families throughout the referendum campaign. Employee evaluations, our fiscal year ended on June 30th, so I'm earnestly working on the employee evaluations, and it's my hope that by July 31st, I'll not only have them all completed, but I'll have met with all of the individuals that I meet with. And as a reminder, it is a goal that every employee in the district has an annual evaluation, and it's done by the different directors and principals and managers throughout. The next item I have is the potential partnerships for cooperative activities and athletics. We are focused on providing diverse activity and athletic opportunities for our students. So this week, Joe and I are going to be meeting with one particular school community. We have spoken with several and been told no by several, but we have one that has shown interest. And we have a meeting set up, and I don't want to say who at this point in public, just for their sake. I don't think it's fair to them. But we have a meeting set up with one of those partners on Thursday the 11th. That'll be this Thursday. At that meeting, we'll discuss hockey and lacrosse in particular. And it's our hope that we may be able to leverage the potential of our new indoor field house as part of question 3 as a caveat for a partnership. There was some interest in that. Ryan, for your benefit, every year in lieu of one of the hard and fixed workshop dates that we have 5 workshop dates as part of the back to school late August week. One thing that we started doing is saying, If you wanna come and learn during the summer, we'll trade out one of those summer dates for that Friday of workshop week. We think it's a benefit because we can get material in front of our teachers in July and August, early August, versus waiting until the end of August, and then it's a scramble just to get ready for kids. So we think by doing this, we feel it's best practice in getting that in their hands. So the workshop dates for the summer are set, and they're scheduled for July 25th, and the second option is August 6th, and that's a trade out for the August 30th date. So we'll send out specific agenda details after this Wednesday's retreat. And then finally, in my report, strategic plan refresh. Part of our administrative retreat agenda is to provide you as a board with an annual report card on our progress on achieving the goals outlined in our strategic plan. And then we're going to be working on the new operational strategies as the next 2-year cycle of the plan. And then that work will be shared at our August work session of this board. And then you'll be able to provide your feedback to that. We'll make some adjustments, most likely, based off of that feedback. And then we'll share it with the public for comment. And one of the pieces of public comment is part of the Curriculum and Technology Advisory Committee. We'll get a chance to review that operational plan and the progress report. So that is my report. I did have those attachments as referenced, the compensation and also the retreat agenda. So entertain any questions you might have about those items.
Any questions, Tom?
Well, thanks for putting together that compensation one. That was very interesting to read.
Thank Hope.
Thank you.
Thank you, Hope.
So as long as we're on that, if anybody is interested in serving in that ad hoc committee, just let Matt or myself know.
Well, I guess I did have one thing about the large group meetings. I'm assuming you want as many board members there as possibly can be.
Yes.
I'm gonna apologize ahead of time, that August 20th date doesn't
Yep.
work, I'm gonna be gone, so.
I understand that.
So.
It's not always possible. And
Okay.
I'll look at our first large group meeting. I thought overall it went well. Probably look at making a few adjustments to some of the Q&A piece, but I like that format. I think it creates civil discourse. And what's nice about it is we have those written questions then that we can put directly on our website.
Yeah.
So for the Q&A page.
Absolutely.
Okay. High school principals report, Mr. Visner.
It's all laid out there, so I can hit on a few highlights. One of the things that we're going to do this year, we talked a little bit about it at the policy committee meeting, is we're changing, every student takes a careers class in 9th grade, and we're changing that name to Freshman Academy. It's gonna still have most of the same pieces, but Mr. Albers has been working with Ms. Kuski, our counselor who does the ramp up to readiness, and they've been looking at ways they can combine those to enhance that Freshman Academy class and make sure things aren't redundant or redone. So that's something we're looking forward to. Building is looking good, they're working on that. Summer school first session went well, second session is going on right now and going well. I've spent a lot of time in different staff meetings and I was at the CAPS. They had their huddle in Shakopee, the 3 days of that, which was very good. Aaron also went to that list, and that came a couple times too. We had one of our students present about intro to ed, and that was awesome. She did a great job. Went to MTSS, which is multi-tiered systems of support. Got some basic info on that. What else did I do? Went to Mankato and did a one-day symposium there, and that was good also. Picked up a couple things. Each of them just picked up a couple things that we can tie into this year. And then basically we'll be in that process, like Matt said, we'll be starting the data retreat in the next month here and really laying out that map for the next year. That's where we're at.
Any questions for Mr. Visner? Great.
And
Thanks.
we're-
Oops.
Oh, I'm sorry. Ryan, for your benefit, each one of these bolded headings, that's part of our strategic plan.
Okay.
So the principals all provide their report based off of, there's 5 particular strategic directions.
Thank you.
And Ryan, mine is also usually the shortest.
Of which we appreciate it.
Right, note taken. Right, so, our master
Yeah.
schedule for the middle school for next year is complete. We spun the system, and we were at 97% scheduled, or 90.
Wow.
It was fantastic. So Chelsea, and the special ed team, Chelsea Meyer and the special ed team are coming in tomorrow to do special ed schedules, and then there will be some tweaks. And we won't go live with schedules until late August, just different things that come up.
So you don't use the Post-it notes off? Just
No,
kidding.
we won't. So I've done that before, but,
I'm sorry.
yep.
Do you spin it like Jeff spins it, the same way? So you're putting classes together based on requests versus trying to plug, okay.
So Jeff and I, we sit down and we talk about, okay, here's all of our shared staff, and then, now this is going into high school time too, so you gotta add it on. But we talk about our shared staff, and then we try to block them more.
And then Ben picks out, what works best for his schedule. He's at 97%, and we're not, we're at 47%.
I was the youngest growing up, so just get it done fast. So yeah, so we're moving along there, and special ed will, and then what special ed does is takes the schedule that's built, and then they schedule their students up for it. So, the other kind of thing of note, this year we've implemented a program called WEB. It's a mentorship program where our 8th graders will be mentoring our 5th graders. They met in here and did the WEB play day, where our WEB coordinators, so Colleen Chambers, Ansley Peters, Kaylee Doherty, and Nathan Chera are the coordinators. So they went to an off-site training by the Boomerang Project, and then they came back and trained our WEB leader kids, and then those kids will mentor our 5th graders coming in. The Jumpstart Day will look different next year. So they'll come in, and we're following the script that WEB says. When I was in St. Michael, Albertville, we did WEB, and it was a game changer. So we're gonna follow it to a T this year, and then we'll make tweaks. But, so from 8 to noon on the Jumpstart Day, we're gonna follow the WEB program. But what that means is our 5th grade parents, we didn't think that it made sense for them to come pick their kid up at noon, and then come back again in the evening for a presentation open house night. So 5th grade will come to the open house night, and then we'll do some specific things for 5th grade on open house night. So, we're trying that this year. You know, we host multiple programs in the summer, so if you're busy and you wanna come up and walk around, we'll find something for you to do during the summer up here at the middle school. So, any questions?
Thank you, Ben.
Thank you.
Okay. Melissa, elementary?
So similar to Jeff and Ben, reported out on things and how they're progressing over the summer months with their strategic plan. A couple of highlights, we took the feedback from our parents, from our Kickstart survey, and we've made some changes. The kindergarten team just met, 2 weeks ago, because it's now, yeah, 4th of July was last week, so right before 4th of July week. So they are finalizing plans for things that we're gonna just change a little bit. So that's, you know, we're in a really good place for that. We're excited to implement some of the feedback that we got from our parents and how we're doing that a little bit differently this year. I attended the culturally responsive leadership workshop with Dr. Rev Crowley, and it was pretty awesome to think about what some of the things and his message was as far as seeing what Sarah Miller, being our instructional coach, will be able to bring as a behavior specialist at the elementary school and embedding some of those CRT practices. So I'm really see, how that will look and how we can, make some changes in regards to helping support our teachers and supporting the diverse needs of our kids. Talked a little bit already about the data pieces through the literacy plan, so that's a lot of the work that Erin and I have started and will continue to involve Molly Nestad with our PBIS component and social emotional learning, along with Sarah Miller as our instructional coach. I continue to give tours at the elementary school. I have one tomorrow afternoon. We just established another tour with a family that, is it middle school and elementary that they have students
Yep,
at?
one gonna be sixth grader, one gonna be fourth grader.
And then, Ben and I organized another tour for a family that will be here that has 5 kids coming into the district, I believe. 3 in my building and 2 in his. So it's really exciting to see over the summer. We're having a lot of those tours of families and incoming families that are interested in coming to school in Jordan. We too have our schedule pretty much complete. Our staff building leadership team finalized that before they left, and being able to make sure that we're allocating enough time and resources for what our students and staff need to help us make it a great year. We're excited PTO has a new exec board. Becky Brewster is our new JES PTO president. So I'm excited to meet with her here coming in August to just establish what are some things that PTO wants to continue to do or do differently, and what that means for engaging our families and supporting our school. So, any other questions about things in the report?
Are you noticing that people are moving to Jordan to enroll, or are they coming and open enrolling? The families that you're
A
touring?
little bit of both.
Yeah.
Okay.
So the one.
I recruited a family from Prior Lake that moved here specifically because of our school.
We're seeing a couple Prior Lake this year, which is a changing trend.
Mhm.
Mhm.
Thank you.
How's the rekeying coming?
I haven't talked with Tim since the 4th, right before the 4th of July. He was gonna be working with, the contractor who's doing that. So, our building's in a really great place as far as cleaning and facilities go. I just touched base with Bob today. So it's just a matter of when, Tim has everything set up with that contractor, we can roll it out. So I would say, we may even be ahead of schedule with our facilities this year. And part of it is some of the things we're holding off on doing until we find out what's gonna happen with the referendum. Some things we're doing now because it needs to happen now. But it's definitely a lighter summer, and I think I told you that in the tour we took.
The boiler, you know, which is our big project there, I toured that area today, and they're working on cutting out all the old steam components and the big monstrosity of a boiler. There's one that's high efficiency that looks similar to our middle school boilers, and they'll be, adding a second one. So we'll have our main and our backup now, both within the last 4 or 5 years, our high efficiency by the end of the summer. So it's progressing. It's
All the
a
carpeting
lot of
is
work.
done. There's a little bit of trim work that still needs to be
Yep.
done in those bathrooms. That's all done.
Yeah, it looks good.
Questions?
Want to do a tour in maybe August or something?
Yeah, we can do another one.
Maybe
Show
a
all the
workshop one or
things
something
look
like that?
Sure.
Just before.
That'd be great.
Yep.
Sure.
Thank you. Okay, activities director's report. It's nice to know, Connie, you'll love, I'm sure you had your hand in that, the lettering and FFA.
It's already, he already has it.
Yeah,
so
that's
Quite
great.
exciting.
That's great. The Hall of Fame,
Yeah. That's something to highlight.
yeah.
So we have our inaugural class of the Activities Hall of Fame, and you can see the individuals that will be recognized and inducted. And it'll take place at homecoming. And you can see that first class that was voted on by the committee.
It was a whole application process to nominate someone, whatever. It was a whole sheet long thing. You had to research it all out. I mean, you had to know about them and fill it in to nominate somebody. So it's kind of exciting to see the diversity of the group that got selected.
It's a great group.
What's gonna be
Of
fun,
representatives.
is thanks to some nice donations, and then Booster Club assisting as well, we have the large, it's a whole system that not only the Hall of Fame, individuals, but, we're able to download past trophies and things like that, pictures of trophies and teams, and it'll be part of a digital, Hall of Fame and also, recognition board, and that's gonna sit right to the left of the gym doors as you're coming in. And Steve McClellan's working on a framed piece that it'll sit right in there. And it's interactive, so you can touch it, and you can, like an alumni event, somebody could go in and touch class of 1968 basketball and be able to see a picture. That's the end goal, and when that all gets done. We wanna do some murals eventually on the wall associated with that as well. But that's, the first step is the electronic Hall of Fame and memorabilia document system.
So, is this public knowledge, or are they aware they're getting it, or is this?
Yeah, I believe so. They've been notified, yep.
Okay. Because I'd hate to spoil a surprise.
Yeah.
And some coaching changes.
Yeah.
Just to note that Leah had her baby. I'm sure most of you saw that. Yep, it's exciting. And an update on his Achilles tendon and his recovery. Poor guy. Yeah. Okay.
He's gotta give up the ghost. Y'all learn at some point.
Okay, any other comments or questions? Community ed. Run-of-the-mill planning is well underway for Heimat Fest. Sounds like Early Childhood Kids Company is going well with lots of fun field trips.
One
I
thing,
love Kids Company, man. I think that's just the greatest program ever.
one thing people should be aware of, and I think Blue Cross Blue Shield probably is sending out messages, but they used to do that reimbursement plan for those.
Yeah.
It's done. Blue Cross did
What?
away with it.
You mean for community ed, your membership?
Yeah, if you go to a fitness.
Some, not all of them have gotten rid of it, but they're moving towards getting rid of it, to go to a point system.
Yeah, so you actually have to work, I mean, you can still get reimbursement, but you have to go in and you have to do more
Mhm.
of
You
the
can't just scan
management.
your fob?
Some of them you can, just depends on the,
Well, UCare is still
Which
doing
one?
it,
Blue-
though, right?
But Blue Cross Blue Shield is done.
we're still reimbursing people right now. So I think it depends on your plan and contract, how long your contract is. But yeah, I know they don't wanna they're not wanting to redo it once your contract's up.
I got a notification, just, obviously I have Blue Cross Blue Shield for insurance, and I got a notification directly from them.
Yeah,
We didn't get anything yet.
cause you're probably still under contract,
Okay.
so I'm sure the next contract comes up, it's a possibility it
I
will
guess
be
you
happening.
can still get a reimbursement, you just have to work a little harder for it.
Like, what do you have to do?
Show up, not just scan your fob.
Not scan your fob, that's for sure.
It's more an online
mean, like I
system,
did
I
tonight.
think, when you're, yeah.
I thought that was
It's a fitness test now.
half the battle.
Yeah,
Ooh.
fitness test.
It was kinda, to be honest though, it's kind of unique to the Midwest, it's not really on the East or West Coast, they tried it here in the Midwest,
Okay.
so it's
I didn't
unique
get
to
that
our area.
benefit.
Right.
What?
I didn't get that benefit.
Yeah, we didn't until we went to Prime, and now it's done.
Well, we have UCare and we have, is it Silver Fit, I think?
Yeah.
Okay.
And
So
I
far.
work for a healthcare company and we didn't get that benefit.
No, I know.
But of course, I have a full-blown gym I can use in my facility, so that's probably
Maybe
why.
That's
Yeah.
probably why.
I want you to use that.
Interesting,
instead.
so will that hurt our membership?
Not if it affects everyone. You know, as long as it's Blue Cross and as long as it's a level playing field for all the different fitness facilities, then, you know, if that was the only reason you had a membership, then perhaps.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Okay. Communications. Update from Kat. I believe it's her husband's birthday today.
It is Eric's
It
birthday
is,
today.
yes. She highlighted the gym floor with the graphics and the banners. Was that fixed?
Yep.
That- Good. She talked about the Remind app and developing a CRT webpage. It's a good thing. Okay. Any questions or comments?
You know, the last bullet on this part here, the, working with Maria, thanks to Maria
Oh,
and,
gotcha.
and Kat for doing that. I mean, those things a lot of times happen like on the fly or early in the morning or, and
Yep.
yet I think every one that we did last year had a Spanish
Yep.
translation. So I think
That's good.
we had some really positive comments to that too, so,
And one was when Kat was actually on vacation.
yeah.
Yeah, but was she really on vacation is the
was.
question. She may have left Jordan,
Yeah.
but did
Yeah.
she really take a vacation?
Yeah, for the most part, but.
Okay, Andrea's report, nutritional services. High school was up over 10,000 in sales and à la carte. Middle school was up over
My
8.
kid had that.
School lunch was up over 16 last year. That's good. Middle school 3,000. Middle school salad bar over 1,300 more meals. That's good.
I think, just a quick thing on that, I noticed you put middle school, but I didn't see anything about high school, and I didn't know if it was up or not. But that was why I was concerned about, when she talked about having, something besides the salad bar once or twice a week. Because if that's something that the kids are really interested in getting, then, and it's more of an increase, I'm concerned about that being taken away, because I have at least one child who eats salad bar almost every day. So, I don't know. I mean, it's just interesting, and it's an interesting statistic, that if it's up, then why would we take it away, I guess.
I think it was because she had kids that wanted other
More
other
options.
choices.
Right, I get it, I just,
And with our size, you can only give so
Yeah.
much,
So
so
many
she was trying
options.
to balance out for all kids.
I get it, but if it's up, it's just
Mhm.
odd to take it away.
Yeah.
then.
Well, not taking it away, it's just
No,
substituting with
substitute, I know, but
another option on certain days.
it'll just be interesting to see how the trend goes then for this year.
Okay, special director's report. Anything on that? It's working on the budget with Amy for 1920.
I just had a question about the SOAR program. Didn't we already have a PACE lab? Is this just an improvement, or what? I'm confused.
Weren't they building a second one? Or what was the deal there? I think they were adding one because the numbers warranted
Oh, okay.
more.
Yep, so this is the first step, Pays Lab. It's, yes, we do have, and
Increased
Pays Lab is a
numbers.
skill-based training module, so.
Yeah.
It's for the 18 to 21-year-old, our transition program for our kids with significant needs. So we started a program in cooperation with Belle Plaine because we felt it was better for kids, better for families to keep kids locally than to ship them off or send them to another school. And from a financial aspect, it was more cost-effective for us as a district to do that. So we've got a really nice program. So if you get a chance, I know they had an open house last year. It'd be something, everybody, I know not everybody could make it or can make it to those things,
Yeah,
but
Sandy and I
Yep,
went
we went.
last year.
just a neat way to see, they've got like a mini apartment set up, so kids learn how to make bed, care for themselves and, basic housekeeping, upkeep, and then they have modules from sewing on a button to setting a table, you know, different pieces. So that's the PACE lab. So this is just another module to that, is my understanding.
Okay. Okay. Facility director's report. Excuse me. New risers for the high school.
Yeah, they were sagging, so it's,
Yeah.
it's time.
Time.
Yeah.
And the problem is just trying to work with different
Big,
groups,
sorry.
and this weather has been awful to work with groups that deal with outside work. So the track resurfacing, trying to work around our track camps and start a track, and
Yeah.
the weather and schedules that are way off kilter with these companies. So still our goal to get that done before the fall season. Tree work is actually gonna start tomorrow. So a lot of the dead trees out in front of the or the side of the elementary and the middle school are going away. And, you know, we don't necessarily have a whole lot of money to add them back, so if you hear, I mean, we have to decide what we wanna do. I don't necessarily wanna plant more pine trees, but if that grove of trees, it's gonna look a little thin, cause there's a lot of dead ones in there. And the elementary has quite a few bigger dead trees as well. There's one out here, one of the lindens. We're gonna just take it out, and then it may go away with the passage of question 2 anyway. So we're just gonna wait and see before we plant a tree back in that location.
I wonder if there's the possibility of trying to get some donations for trees.
Yeah,
Just-
I mean, I think it'd be nice to plant more of a hardy, hardwood type grove if we're gonna do something out in front of the middle school eventually. Take those all out and then start over with more of a, I don't know, a mixture of hardwoods.
One where the
Maple,
roots
oak.
don't grow above the ground.
Yeah, I mean, pine trees are dirty too, and even if the tree's healthy, the limbs are constantly falling.
Yeah.
So,
And lots of times you can't get the grass to grow very good
because of
underneath.
the pine needles and
Right,
acidity.
yeah, exactly.
But just so you know, that works, that really fires people up, so, we're taking them out because they're dead.
Mhm.
We're not taking out the live ones at this point.
And we have a plan for the dead shrubs in the
Yep.
front.
So they're gonna get grasses. We're gonna
Okay.
do, short grasses in front and taller grasses in the back. And then we're gonna do, at the high school, we have that Casota stone, those large. We're gonna do a mixture of Casota stone for this seeding. And then, as you come out of the middle school, and you have the concrete, but then kids cut the corner, and then snow plowing kills the grass. We're actually going to concrete
Go
a
ahead.
curved area, and then set Casota stone on the edge of that as seating for kids. The circ out in front, the same, where it's kinda dead out in front there, we're gonna put some Casota stones, and then next year, pending the referendum, we'd like to match them at the elementary school eventually as well, so then we'll have that stonework at all 3 buildings.
Getting back to that dead tree issue,
Yeah.
I mean, it's a safety thing too. I mean, if if people
Yep.
are complaining, if we have another really bad windstorm,
Yeah.
those could fall on somebody or on
Yeah,
something, so.
and pines, just 2 winters ago, for whatever reason, they just suffered
Yeah.
some sort of blight or something like that,
Yeah.
and it just killed a whole bunch of them, so
Well, yeah.
it's really nothing much we can do.
No, right. But it is a safety, I mean, if people are
Yeah.
really putting up a stink, that
Yeah.
it is a safety issue.
Okay, school board member reports, community conversation, I think we already pretty much covered that. Scale?
Scale was good. We broke into small groups and worked on stuff that they want to some target goals for scale 1, 2, and 5 years, which they hadn't done in a while. And so we're gonna do that. And then in our August meeting is gonna be out at the scale facility here in Jordan. So that'll be a little shake up too. We usually are in the Prior Lake City Hall, so it'll be fun to tour down there.
And Ryan will be your alternate on scale.
Sure.
So he might tag along if he's
Definitely
free.
can. Yeah. I think it's 8:14. I'll have to take a look. It's 7:30 in the morning.
When I get the notification, or Tom, you could do it too, just, we'll let them know to include you. in
Yeah,
the
yeah,
email.
for sure. And it's in the AM, which is a jab at Rob, who showed up in the PM. But he's not here, so I feel a little guilty about it.
APAC, I attended for Sandy, she wasn't able to make it. They kind of did a recap of last year and then just preparation for next year. They talked about 10 of the kids attended the Sunka Walk-in Horse Camp for Native American students in June. What else happened at that?
I talked about the eagle feather ceremony.
Oh, right, yeah, which was very, I think it's a really neat thing. So as part of their banquet night, they're gonna do the eagle feather ceremony there.
Good.
So there was really good discussion about that, so I think that'll be a real positive thing, so.
Yep. He was budgeting the horse camp and eagle feather ceremony were the highlight
The
of that.
highlights, yeah. Well, the banquet was really awesome as it was, and
It
then
was.
to add the eagle feather ceremony, I think will be
Yeah.
a great thing for next year.
Okay, communications committee, we already covered that. Board interviews, I think we covered that. We had a great group of candidates, and we're very pleased that Ryan is with us. Policy committee met this afternoon, and we got through about
Maybe a
12,
dozen?
yeah.
something like that.
Yeah.
We've got another afternoon set up in
July, 2 weeks?
something like that, couple weeks.
We have a few that are
Were
gonna take a
those
while.
were those just the annual renewal ones that you're primarily going through, or they new?
No, I'm just kinda going through them all.
We have like 35 that we still have to get through that.
Some are the, sort of the annual
Yeah.
simple, easy, couple red line.
Mhm.
But some, like we spent an hour and 10 minutes on facilities, and then we spent
Yeah.
another half an hour or so
And the
on.
DNR one.
Oh, yeah,
The
the-
DNR, DNI, so that's,
Yeah.
that's a controversial one. You know, just
Do not resuscitate.
how do we wanna, what kind of position do we wanna put our personnel in, you know? So that's something what we actually tabled, and we're gonna go back to
Mhm.
Laura and Nicole and get their input on that. And then the curriculum and assessment is one we spent probably another 45 minutes on.
Yeah.
Then there was a whole bunch of them that were 2 minutes.
Yeah, sure.
Doesn't it seem like you've been doing them over and over and over and over? Because I was on that committee before, and it just seems like,
Well, it's never ending.
yeah, it seems like it's
Start
just
over again.
never ending, and you just keep starting over, and
Yep.
And then-
it's like, when do you get to that
Hope's
cycle
nodding
of,
her head too,
this
yeah.
is the list of your annuals, this is the list of your 3 years, this is.
Well, then the legislature changes something, then you have to
Then you have to
update them all
redo
and
it, yeah.
change them.
I
And
think
then it's
though-
just one little word.
Yep, this
Mhm.
year, you know, I think, obviously, in our country, we're seeing more social issues pop up. So I look at like the equal access policy and, you know, distribution of non-public material on school premises. Those things that we probably in a policy meeting just quickly breeze over.
Yep.
They matter, because you get into some deep stuff, especially when a lot of policies, a lot of issues, you have to look at 3, 4 policies together collectively, how they interact, so it's important work.
Referendum meeting at Ridges.
That's actually going on as we speak,
Right
and
now.
it's a citizens group that is working, so I'm gonna pop out there if I get a chance at the end here.
Great.
You're welcome to do so as well.
So we have a good core group there, I think.
presume.
Yeah,
You
we'll
know,
see.
there's a lot of names.
Good. And MSBA summer seminar, it says the 4th through the 6th, actually whatever that Monday is.
The 5th.
The 5th is the one full day of summer seminar. The night before is early bird workshop. So hopefully some of you can make, or all of you can make the
Can you
5th.
sign me up, please?
Yeah.
I can now, I got off, so I can go.
Great, good.
Who's the speaker?
Who is it?
Okada Hayes, they're
He-
focusing on equity and diversity, and,
He's a good guy. I worked with him
yeah,
when I was superintendent and principal in the center in Montgomery Lonsdale. We hired him because we had qualified for the achievement integration. he founded and is the director of the Greater Mankato Diversity Council. So he comes in and he works with, you know, different entities, school districts, YMCA, those different types of organizations to bring a greater awareness for diversity issues and just conversations between groups. He's a good
He's the
guy.
early bird. He's the Sunday night one though. And then, Monday is Jolly Corley, is the keynote, and Susan Brower. Susan Brower is changing student, demographics. Isn't she the state demographer? I'm pretty sure she is.
I don't know for sure.
I think she
Something like
is.
that, I thought.
Yeah, I think. I've heard Jolly, I have to lock in. I've heard Jolly Corley, she's presented at our board meetings, she's very, very good. It's bold leadership and action is her topic, so. And it's at Minneapolis Marriott Northwest, so.
Is that where it's always at?
Yep.
Yep. So if you can go to that, that would be awesome. Other than that, board and superintendent, just final comments? What's
You're
the-
right.
She is a state demographer, yeah, I thought she was. So that would be kind of interesting to hear from her, especially with the changing demographics in the state. And interesting, perspective on just how the aging population is changing everything. And
I kinda wanna go. What day is it? I love going to those
Fifth.
things.
Monday the 5th. It's always a good,
I know, I love going to those things, man. The January one is awesome. You have to go.
Advanced registration does end in 2 weeks, so.
for this one? Okay, so get your registrations in, so, good.
I had
And
a
then
chance-
Terry
Go ahead.
Morrow, he's gonna be doing a case law update. Cruz Guzman is a lawsuit that's been in the works for a couple of years, actually. It's worth, I believe it's 7 families, sued the state of Minnesota on behalf of Minnesota St. Paul School District, and the implications of this, of the Cruz Guzman Act could be huge. I mean, board versus, or Brown versus the Board of Ed, huge. Right now, they're in the part where, they're bringing groups in to speak with the mediators, and depending on how it goes, the mediators could make the decision, could actually make the decisions that it could go to a court case, and it could go as far as going back to desegregation, busing, redrawing boundaries, a whole ton of implications that will affect all school districts in the state of Minnesota. So it's a pretty big and intense case to follow, so if you ever get a chance, kind of read up on it and study on it. So Terry will be presenting on that, and then Denise Dietrich will be giving an update on the upcoming legislative session. This year is a policy year, right? Last year was funding, so this year's policy year in the legislature, so she'll be giving an update on that. So it'll be a good day event, so. Okay, any closing comments?
I have nothing further.
Okay.
I had a chance to go to the trap banquet
Uh,
at the golf course. I think we ate them out of house and home, those kids, you know, those big boys and some of the girls, but they had a really good, successful season this year. Theirs goes a little longer after school is out, so
Mhm.
they shot well, and they did a good job. They're fun kids, and they're looking forward, I think they're gonna be here, or he announced August?
Yes.
did
The
you say?
August board
Okay.
meeting,
Yep.
we'll
So
do
he-
the spring state
Yep,
tournament
so
people.
he announced that they would be coming here for that, so, good group of kids.
Oh, anybody else have anything? Nope. Okay, it's summer.
Move to adjourn.
Yeah.
We are adjourned. Thank you.
Connie, how's your